Jason, CEO of Infinity Marketing Group. We have our little office there on the corner if anybody wants to come by and say hi after this. So, the importance of social media. Who here either works in social media for the company or has a ton of experience from the marketing side? Anybody? I know you do, of course. And you work for me, so I get that. All right, so here's the thing. A couple of things. Social media is massive. Pretty much everyone is on it at some point. Okay, if they're not on it now, they're going to be. I don't like to call out too many statistics, but seeing that about a third of the population, or if not more, within a few years is going to be active on it. Not just have an account. I mean, they literally use it, and their actions are driven by it. That's big. If you're not marketing through social media, then you're wrong, pretty much. Okay, you got to do it now. It's not easy, right? It looks easy because you have one, but it's not. Here's a couple tips. Creating custom hashtags. So hashtags got adopted first, obviously, with Twitter, okay? It started migrating to other platforms. You can now do hashtags and @ things like that, and tagging people through LinkedIn. You can do Facebook as well. If you can do Facebook, I believe you can also still, you can do it with Instagram as well. So these hashtags are basically like different lanes on a highway, okay? So if I'm in the far right lane, I'm following this one story. All right, and I can go to the left lane there and keep going over, and each lane is a different hashtag. So that could be something like, you know, hashtag Christmas, or, you know, hashtag this sucks, whatever. Anyone who hashtags that particular phrase, that means that if you put that in as a search, you're going to see everyone who commented on that. So you'll notice that you'll get a lot of political figures, celebrities, people like that, who either they either get to benefit from it or fall very fast from a bad hashtag if something goes wrong. They're very fast. It is basically, it's in the news now. It's what's trending, so to speak. So use hashtags if you're not. You can use social media to promote a webinar. I cannot stress this one enough. If you're not doing a webinar, you gotta at least learn how to do it. You can do recorded webinars where you don't actually have to do them all the time. So they're called ever webinars. They're evergreen, so to speak. Webinars are great for sales. If you can explain something in 30, 45 minutes about what you do, you can basically show that you're an authority in that space, all right? There's nothing better than doing the first one live, for example. You can take questions, things like that. You never know what people are gonna ask. But record it, and then you can host that on certain systems. There's certain softwares out there. I like, it's called EverWebinar. It's from Webinar Jam. So if anyone is, I mean, it's not on the slides, but if you're taking notes, Webinar Jam is a great service. They're really cheap, and they have the ability to run things recorded that look live, so you don't have to spend a lot of your time. You can use social media to do polls and surveys. That's really big. People on social media are in a mood to give their opinion, for better or worse. But you need to know what it is, regardless, right? That's gonna help you. Sharing discount codes. Again, in the moment, if they're on a computer, that means they can buy online. So if you're e-commerce, if you have, maybe if you're a SaaS company and you have a product that can be bought quickly, being able to use social media for discount codes is good because they can click right through, go all the way through the purchase, and you got one on the other end fairly soon after you already posted it. So these are some examples of kind of a unique code here, you know, the images for webinars, polls, things like that. Offer free giveaways like an ebook. This is actually ours. Anybody who came to the first one got this already. This is our 3 steps to transform your business into an inbound lead generation machine. So we use that a lot on our website. We do a gatekeep on it, so people have to put in their name and email to get it, and then we can market to them later. But they get something of high quality that's free, and they can also share if they need to. Brand recognition. I'm not going to read off this. This part's obvious. Social media is this day and age is brand recognition. You don't need billboards. That was yesterday, so to speak, okay? Even TV's dying when it comes to that. Anyone who's young, I mean, I'm 36, and you know, my daughter's 12, and she knows this stuff better than I do, and this is literally what I do for a living, and she still knows more about it because she's young, and that generation, they're only coming up more and more, and it's important to understand that if you want the younger generation to recognize your brand, if you plan on being around for more than 10 years, you've got to get in early on the social media, okay? Brand loyalty, that's another thing too. So there's one thing about brand recognition and there's brand loyalty. I can recognize a product that I hate. The loyalty is about building something that you can give the customers that benefit them, okay? And if you can keep giving them good information, good content, even if it's just funny memes. Sometimes I'll rotate through things that mean literally nothing to what we do. It was just funny. And people like funny, so they'll share funny, and then my logo's on it. And maybe they'll click through, maybe they'll get to someone who thought it was funny, and also they want to see what I do, right? So loyalty is basically about listening to what they have to say, making sure that you are listening to what their needs are and adapting to it. Pretty much any sale is just find a problem, give them a solution, okay? Brand loyalty. Conversion. Who's heard of the 7-touch rule? Right? Anyone in sales has heard that? Okay. You can get 7 touches in 7 days on social media. Wow. You can't do that in almost anything else. I can't send you an email 7 days in a row without you going, Jesus Christ, like, and just spam blocking me on, unsubscribing. I can't do that, right? I can't send you mailers 7 days in a row. I can't call you 7 days in a row without penalty, but I can sure as heck hit you 7 days in a row on social media. And your tolerance level, your threshold for what you're willing to accept is higher on this. So knowing that about the consumers is good, because that means you can hit them more, which means they're going to convert at a higher rate. Right? Interaction is key too. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but it's not just about posting stuff for them. If they reply to you, if they have a question, if they like it, whatnot, if you have the time, reply back. And don't necessarily just message them, reply publicly. Now some of these replies are going to be not good replies. Interestingly enough, a lot of people try to avoid negative posts. Interestingly enough, a lot of people will read all the way through the chain if they see a negative post. And if you handled it well, you win, right? Everyone makes mistakes, okay? No one cares about mistakes as much as they care about how you handle that mistake, all right? So sometimes getting a bad rating, a bad review, and you handle it well, that can actually put you higher. Because I know when I read through, I'm like, oh, gee, they screwed up. Well, Southwest Airlines, for example, is really good. That's a good company. They make mistakes, but man, do they overcompensate. And they don't lose your dog like United, so that's good. That one's hard to recover from, I gotta tell you. I don't care how long the thread is, I'm like, nah, the dog's gone. You get the point. All right. Links to gated content. We talked about this earlier. So again, if you have, who here runs or has a hand in the marketing for their company right now? Of course, Russell, yes? All right, good. How many of you have already content of some sort that's valuable that you force them into a name and email from it? Zeke, tell me real quick about just a quick example of what you have that's gated.
When you log into the website, it pops up, says, subscribe, put your email information in, and then you go a little bit deeper into where you get discounts, once you get their information. I mean, there's a lot of items that cascade. So
you have a workflow then. So you have like a if-then kind of scenario. So they give you that and then they can get something more if they put more information. Do you have something like that?
Correct.
Cool, that's very cool. That's level 2 stuff, by the way. This is all level 1, right? Level 2 is when you start going into the if-then scenarios. Like, hey, give me your name and email, I'll give you this. And then you can go to a thank you page that says, by the way, if we get your address or cell phone or zip code or whatever it is we're looking for, then you can get this additional thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be paid. It doesn't have to be a product that you're going to charge for. Information is everything, and that's where you're really going to zone in on. So gated content is big because it allows you to remarket. And I can't stress this enough. I have a few of my clients in the audience right now, and they hear me say this all the time. Capture the information. When you capture information, no matter how you do it, in this case social media, through gated content, you lower your cost per acquisition, right? So if I paid for 100 clicks, for example, through paid advertising, and let's say I only did 1 sale, and my sale was less than the cost of those 100 clicks, that's okay because I got 20 emails out of it. Now they didn't buy, but I got them. And over the next 3 months, I convinced 10 of them to buy. Now if you go back to that first campaign, the stats are great because I got 11 people out of 100 and I way hit my ROI on that one. Okay, so sometimes you gotta be patient with it. But gated content is how you're gonna be able to get the information and remarket to them. Okay. This increases inbound traffic. So we're an inbound marketing agency. We're not full service. The only difference is basically you don't get to say what we do. We decide what you need and we say, okay, we're going to do that thing. Inbound, but specifically, is about not having to keep going after the leads. If you have a sales team, if they're doing cold calling, if they're doing emails out there, that's outbound, right? And that's great. And don't stop that, by the way. I'll never tell anyone to stop your outbound efforts. What I will say is you need to be balanced. And sales teams, I know I was on a sales team, it sucks having to grind it out every single month. It's hard. That's why sales is hard turnover. But if you give them a really good balanced inbound marketing campaign to drive leads in that they can just lay down and go, that's gonna give them a lot of juice and they're gonna be happy and your company's gonna grow really quickly, all right? Spreading the message, informs the audience, generates traffic, and again, keeps them coming back for more. Generate leads with social media advertising. Okay, who here remembers the days when you could have a social media account and then you posted something and then people clicked on it? Like that was it. Yeah, that existed at one point. It's fantastic. Now it's, you post something, no one sees it because the algorithms are purposely keeping it from them. This is a pay-to-play system now, all right? Period. If you're not paying into your social media, don't do it. There is no such thing as just posting anymore. We don't have any clients where we just post for them because it's worthless. I got to take a percentage of their pay-per-click marketing and put it into the paid advertising for social media, otherwise I'm not going to get any exposure. So if you still think that you're like, oh, I'll do this, and even if you already have a following, here's what's crazy about it. You could have 10,000 followers on your social media page. If you post about 1 to 3% that they'll show it to, that's it. They hold it back on purpose, and you earn those people. That's what's really crazy about it. You earn them. You still have to pay if you're going to try to get the full boat out of it, so to speak. Okay. So understand that, and we can argue it all day long, but they're public companies. They got to make money, and that's how it works. You got to spend it to make it. Using it for business boosts for your brand. SEO style. A lot of people think that SEO and social media are two different things, and technically they are, but SEO is so broad that search engine optimization, basically getting ranked higher on Google organically so that you're not paying for it, one of the many and very heavily weighted equations in the algorithm is your social media presence. It wasn't always that way, all right? They didn't look at that. Even pay-per-click now is weighted in. If they see you paying for advertising, they're gonna give you a bigger bump organically. It's kind of it's a weird situation, but that's how it works. With social media, same thing. It's gonna pick up if you're active on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever it is. And again, if your account is private, that doesn't count. It's gotta be public, it has to be engaging. If you have comments turned off, it doesn't count. Okay, that's important to know. They wanna see that you are available for people to interact. That is where they're gonna give you a better organic ranking. Social media is big when it comes to SEO. Landscape, again, statistics, but we're gonna go through a couple of these because there's a caveat in here. So 79% of people in North America have a Facebook account, 53% say they check it several times a day, 32 on Instagram, 35 check it. Okay, so here's the thing. That 53% right here, let's say they check it several times a day, here's a caveat, it's more like 70 something. Because two reasons. One, you ask someone, they're a little ashamed, and they don't want to admit that they may not be doing as much work in the day during business hours. And the real stats are actually much higher than this. I mean, how many people here wake up and the first thing they do is go, please don't drop this on my face. Because the first thing you hit is your phone in the morning, right? I mean, there's no way that's only 53%. I guarantee this room alone has got 80% people checking their Facebook before they get out of bed, before you put your glasses on, all right? So these statistics are what is reported, but understand it's actually higher. And that's important to know too, if you're gonna be putting money into this. Top 5 social media sites you should be hitting: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Who knows who Instagram is owned by? Facebook. So that's really a 2-for-1 right there, okay? Who has a visual-based company? Who has e-commerce, fashion? I know Asmir does here. Who's more visual-based? Okay. Good. So your big ones are going to be Instagram and Pinterest if you're super visual. However, you've got to do Facebook literally no matter what. There's no way around it. I'm going to show you why. Look at that. That is the stark difference. And this is just people who say they've never, they're all lying. Facebook is so far ahead. And here's why I want to show this graphic here. This is why this is really important. When you watch the news and they talk about these new social media sites, and they're talking about Pinterest or Instagram and political stuff, talking about Twitter, and then you see YouTube, they're like, it's the biggest video thing. It's really easy to believe that they're more equal, right? Video's king, don't get me wrong. The best conversion rates you'll get in everything are gonna be from video. But YouTube, even though they have the most video, does not have the most conversions. They don't have a system set up that's designed for sales. As much as you can run ads, more brand exposure, yeah, you can click through. Either way, no matter what you hear about what's big, understand this one graphic. Facebook is killer. And the biggest reason, they know everything about us. It's big because people allow it to be big. And for advertising purposes, if you're not spending the money on Facebook, then you're doing more of a shotgun spread. On Facebook, it's a one shot, one kill. I can laser target anyone. If I say I want this ad to show to Hispanic women that are 25 years old in 80202 downtown Denver that have children, are married, own a home, have a bachelor's degree in science, I can dial down that far and literally only, and I keep going. There's more I could do for filters, but that is how insane it is. So again, if you're doing social media, you gotta be doing paid, so we already established that, and you gotta be on Facebook first. If you wanna go to these afterward, that's fine, but this needs to be your main concentration, almost in anything you're doing. Now, if you're B2B, don't get me wrong, LinkedIn's good. I'm sorry we don't even have it on here, but LinkedIn's fantastic for B2B. I get about 80% of my business from LinkedIn in one way or another. Even people who showed up here, a lot of you got an invite from LinkedIn at some point, or maybe referred to me from someone on LinkedIn, like Russell, okay? So B2B is great for that, but even B2B, remember B2B, those people are still consumers before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. So don't forget that. Sometimes you can just do your ads at different times of the day, and you can still grab those same people from the B2B in your Facebook. Okay. Organic versus pay to play. So we talked about, you know, about just doing the generic posts and then doing pay to play. It's not even close. Okay. Following by posting content on social media, you're not going to get any traction. Like I said, even if you do a regular post, you still want to do a promoted post. Okay, so even if you're going to put it out there. In fact, there's a new one, a new rule that LinkedIn just came out with, and this is really important. LinkedIn literally just this week came out with a new algorithm that if you post a third-party link in your feed, they're going to sandbox you. As in basically, they're not going to show it to anyone. They are so hawkish now about the traffic staying inside their platform that unless it links to another post on their platform, unless it goes to an article, which you can submit, you can do so here's a little trick. Here's a trick getting out of this, but I'll tell you in a second. But basically, if you put even a YouTube link on there, they can actually, if you do enough posts that are outside of LinkedIn, they will put you into something that no one will see you. It lasts about 2 weeks. That's your jail time. It's a 2-week jail time. This is brand new.
Penalty
okay.
Box? Penalty box?
What's that? Yeah, penalty box. Yeah, pretty much. 2 minutes for high stick.
Even for your own site, you post links from your own site.
Okay, so this is a great question. Your pages, your business pages, that does not apply, okay? Your personal page does. And honestly, you should be spending more time on your personal page than your business page. People don't buy logos. They buy people, okay? I could have posted this event on my business page. I got plenty of followers. Wouldn't matter. No one cares. But if I reach out to you personally and say, hey, I'm throwing this event, would you like to come? All right? Or if I have a product, I say, hey, I built this product, it does this. What do you think? Okay, you're more likely to actually go through. People have people connections. So that's a good question. They haven't hit the business page so hard, but honestly, it's because business pages haven't really had the traction for it to be a big deal anyway. Okay.
So if you want to post it from your site, you have to go to your business page and then repost it from your business.
Yes, that's what you do. So you can post something on your business page that goes, let's say, to another link to your website. Then you go to your personal account and you share the business post because that initial link is going within LinkedIn. So that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. That's the way around that in a sense right there. So you can post on your business page and then you can share it from your personal. The other way around it is basically doing a published article or a post. You can write a story about something. Now in that post, you can have hot links to go outside of it. And that's fine. They're okay with that as long as you're sharing their stuff first. It's that first degree connection that they're really more worried about than anything. But that's a big deal. And if you don't know that, and you're just still posting every day, your stats are gonna plummet. You're not even gonna know why. So if nothing else, remember that right there, okay? Let's see here, we already know this. Okay, actually this is good though. On average, companies only reach 6% of their fans without using paid advertising. So I was undercutting it a little bit with 3, but we know that it's about 6 then. Okay, so that's it. I mean, 94% of your exposure is out the window unless you're paying for it. Okay. Habits. You know, this is something that we go over in strategy with clients. You know, people just jump into social media. Like, well, I can do it because I have Facebook and I have Instagram. You have to have a whole battle plan for this. There's nothing easy about social media. It looks easy, sounds easy. It's not. I've been doing it since it literally started and existed ever. And it's still not easy for me. Okay, so have a goal, have a plan, write it out, whiteboard it, whatever you got to do. Okay, talk about how if someone starts your social media, where do they go next? Right? Are you trying to get them to a website? Are they going to gated content? What are they doing? Right? Have the whole thing drawn out in your head or on paper, preferably. Then, even when you do that and you start, you got to track and analyze the data. I'll tell you right now, and I've told every prospective client that I've had, and I've been doing this 18 years. I've been doing digital marketing almost as long as it's actually existed. And I'll tell you right now, the first thing I say is that, we'll see. I mean, I'm guessing, you know, I mean, because it's an educated guess, yes, and I have experience behind it of knowing where the pitfalls are. But realistically, I've had plenty of times where I was like, you know what, this looks great, this should totally work, we're gonna put money into it, data comes back, flop. Good news is, if you analyze your data quickly, you can adjust, you can pivot, scrap that, find the campaigns that are working well, put more into that, and then you're recovered, now you're back on the track. And that's basically called optimization. But you can't do that unless you're actually tracking that data hardcore. One little tip for tracking your data, and a lot of people don't do this, you gotta use the tracking codes. Almost every paid platform for social media will provide you an option, give you a little code that you can put on your website. It's a tracking code. What it does is it says, I know that this person who just bought my product came from this social media site. That is insanely important. If you can't track how they got to you, you're gonna mismanage your money. You're gonna think it came from SEO, so you can put more into it, but then you'll have diminishing returns because it's not actually where it was coming from. It's coming from LinkedIn, for example, but you didn't know because you weren't using the tracking code. So take the time, if you don't have someone, if you're not technical, you know, pay a webmaster hourly or someone who's in that, who understands it, who can put it on your website and get all the way through for conversion tracking. It's a pain in the butt, costs a little bit of money, but it's worth it in the end. Also, post content regularly and consistently. SEO and social media rewards for consistency, okay? If you're all over the map, you do 3 in 1 week and then you don't do anything for 2 months, the algorithms are gonna pick you up. You're not relevant anymore. Clearly you're not consistent, so why would anybody need to know what you're talking about? So if you're gonna do it, make sure you have someone dedicated to do it on a regular basis. Social media strategy, and again, concentrate on engagement. Questions are good for engagement, okay? Polls are good for engagement. Even just commenting on other people's things, a lot of people go back and click on your page to see who you are, right? So if you're an independent person, if you're a real estate agent, finance broker, you know, mortgage, something like that, and you operate independently, if you're a business coach or whatever, go on LinkedIn, like things, comment on them. People like to see who's taking an interest in what they're doing, and then they're gonna take an interest in what you're doing. And you can do it as a brand also, obviously. Same thing applies. Simple questions. Which social media platform is my audience using? No one is great at every social media, okay? We don't have a big Facebook presence. We don't. We don't use Twitter literally at all. And that's okay. We don't use Instagram much at all, and we don't do Pinterest literally at all. We do LinkedIn. We figured out that our time is best used building, operating, optimizing our LinkedIn because we are B2B and it works. Now, can I get stuff to work on Facebook? Yes. Is my time best used there? No. Pick one now, crush it, and then when you're just swimming in money, go, all right, I'll do some Facebook, see what happens. Right? Unless you're doing paid, obviously. Paid campaigns are great. But again, try to pick one, and obviously the one that your clients are using, so you gotta do that too. If you are someone where you have a product that can be consumer and business based, let's say you have a consumer side version, you have an enterprise version, okay? Then you're gonna have to kind of split test that and say, well, what types of campaigns will work for each one. But do the analyzation, make sure you understand the persona of who your target market is, and then adjust as such. What times you should be posting? People forget this one more than almost any of them. Close your eyes, be your optimal consumer, and just like, what does their day look like? All right. If you're posting in the morning, but your market is single moms, they're not looking. They're getting kids ready to go to school. You've lost them, right? Okay. But there's time frames in the day or at night, after kids go to bed. You can do late night campaigns. You get a huge spike. Timing is everything, and it's a Google search away. Honestly, you can actually just look up the generic best times. And days to post, right? And that'll give you a general area, all right? And as long as you don't have a very specific niche of demographic, they should fall in there somewhere anyway. Now, if you're only targeting people who have work night shifts, okay, you're gonna have to really dig into that one and just kind of become them in your head and figure out, you know, what is their day like and when should I be posting. You need to know the age, the gender, and the location, obviously, because you can use those for filtering. Hidden gems. So promote posts on Facebook. Again, some people don't know this. You can post on it, but these are cheap, by the way. Promoting a post is actually really cheap. And the cool thing is, it doesn't just promote it to all of your friends. It also promotes it to their friends. Twitter Promote is pretty new. They have a kind of this weird monthly subscription thing going on right now. I'm not sure if they're testing it or not, but it basically, if you pay per month, then anything you tweet up to a certain amount of times per day will automatically get to the top of the news feeds and algorithms. So that's an interesting one. Instagram for business, that's also pretty new. If you have and we're gonna be probably using this for you, Esmir. Esmir has, it's called Dania. They're a boutique fashion store here in Denver, and they're going online as well, nationally, and internationally, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and that's gonna be big for us because it's so visual that we can actually use paid promotion to get these pictures and hot links into the hands of people who typically are buying fashion online. Pinterest, that's a little more niche. We don't use that ourselves, but it's there. If you know that Pinterest is part of your market, if you're selling, arts and crafts stuff, there's a big Pinterest thing. If maybe you're a wedding planner, that's big for Pinterest. If you're a florist, that's big, okay? Even event planning and just showing the venues and things like that, Pinterest for business would be a good way to start. So that's it. I just wanted to make sure, again, I want to run through this quick. Questions, is anything I went over? Yeah. Oh,
No, come back to me. I've got like 10.
All right. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, come back to me.
Oh, come back to you. Does anyone have questions on that? Anything I went through? Social media, paid ads, strategy? Yeah.
Thoughts on Snapchat?
Snapchat. All right. Personal or business thoughts? All right, business thoughts. All right. If you are a younger brand consumer company, so let's say you sell toys, you sell video games, something like that, right? You start getting into that market of the under 20, that teenage and preteen, big. Because you can create custom filters, which is when a girl looks like a deer for some reason, right? You can have background flags and locations where you're at. You'll see festivals do this a lot. If you throw big events and you want to create a location one so that people, when they're there and they take a picture of themselves, it'll brand it permanently. That's really good because people throw that on their Facebook profile, on their background. Cool thing about Snapchat is if you get someone to actually use a Snapchat filter that you customize, they will typically, that branding continues because they typically save that picture of themselves with that thing, and then they save it for a while, and then they're out there doing their social media posts, and it picks up on it. So for branding, it's a big deal, but I would say probably your best shot at it is if you're in that pre-teen to early 20s consumer side of things.
Okay, got it. Okay, when it comes down to Facebook, do you recommend planning to pay and planning what you're going to post and pay for it, or do you plan on analyzing what you've already posted, see how it's doing, and then paying then? Or do you plan boosting what's popular, boosting a certain link to your website, or boosting your gated content?
Okay, so I'll answer the first part. So the question was basically, do you plan in advance the posts and or if you're going to pay for it or not? The answer is actually both. First, you should be planning out your posts, period. You should have a full week's worth of posts probably planned out in advance. And the reason you want to do this is it's easier to keep track of your story if you're doing it at once. It's super easy to get ADD and distracted, like, oh, this is a good post today. Oh, look, this thing happened, let's do this over here. And the problem is anyone following you is they're getting shot all over the map. The best sales is basically just a story in pieces, okay? So I recommend actually planning out your posts like coherently first.
Do you pay for that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So first, so yes, but don't put a lot of money into it. Remember, you can get enough data analytics back from paid posts with 10, 20 bucks a post. So you get the whole week's worth of posts for $100. See what the numbers are showing on it, and then decide from there. Right? Not every post needs to be paid for. Don't get me wrong. You're going to get some posts that'll still gain some traction. But for example, the best type of post, if you're going to pay for it, here's a good one. We will write a blog or an article. Right? We'll take that article and we'll post it on Facebook. Then we'll promote that post. Because it's something that someone gets out of the transaction. They go, oh, this cool article about this thing, and of course we're only showing it to people who would benefit from that article, and that will take them either to that will probably just go right to my blog on my website, right? Because they can read the rest of the article by clicking through. I could do that on LinkedIn as well with their newsfeed post, and I could just have them click right through to my LinkedIn article, and people can share it from there. So again, I'd say, try to, in the beginning anyway, test out a bunch of posts promoting it, but for little dollars, not a lot, 10, 15, 20 bucks a piece, that's it. Just see what kind of traction it gets, and then decide where you want to go from there. Huh? Anyone else? Yeah.
So what's your thought about video marketing?
Video marketing, ooh, cool. Great, actually, because that ties in really well with social media. Video marketing, and I've said this before, video is the emperor. If content is king, video is emperor to rule all kings. There is nothing right now that is going to have a greater conversion rate than video. Animated video specifically is really cool. Explainer videos. If you have a complicated business, we work a lot with tech companies, right? It's not the easiest thing to explain to someone who doesn't know it right away if you're not in the business. And unfortunately, a lot of their customers are not in the business. That's why they're just paying for the product or the service. Having animated explainer videos kind of dumbs it down, makes it visually engaging and memorable as to what you do and why that's important for them. So invest early into video. Listen, you can do video like this and produce it. That costs more. It takes more time. Animated videos are a quick, easy win. You can get the script down, and it's very visual. We do them for a few of the clients here as well. I always recommend those. They're better for your budget, and they actually have more traction. And you can use them for anything. Put them on your website, your blog. You can put them on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, anything you want, and then you can boost those promoted posts. You can use that content all over the place. And anytime you can use it more than once, you're getting more bang for your buck. Anyone else? All right, last one. Go ahead, Aaron.
I just wanted to go back to hashtags one more time.
Hashtag, sure.
Sorry, I'm a nerd. Is there a way to research what people are searching for in terms of hashtags? Because I know my girlfriends and I, we always post something and it's got a whole bunch of hashtags and that's how we think about it.
Sure.
We summarize it.
Yeah.
But that's not what people are searching for. So do you want to do like Super Bowl, hashtag open house, or how would you like hashtag use that more?
So the question is basically how do you research hashtags that are useful to you, right?
In a useful way.
Yeah, in a useful way. The good news about hashtags is, Twitter, they're the original gangsters, so to speak, of hashtags. What's ever trending on Twitter is gonna be ones that are the most popular now. And I know that's not exactly what I was going to get to down the second part. The reason why I bring that up is there's a little term, a little technique in marketing we call news hijacking, okay? Who's heard of news hijacking? Yeah? Okay, good. News hijacking, to anyone who doesn't know, is basically taking a very current, right now event, finding a way that relates to what you do, and then attaching yourself to that in a hashtag. Because if it's trending, if it's going through the roof, and you can find a way to put yourself on it, great. Be careful. More than a couple of companies have accidentally attached themselves to something on the hashtag that they didn't know was a certain thing. No, seriously, and I don't remember the hashtag. There was a company that basically hashtagged I think it was a school shooting of all things. This is terrible. But because of what the hashtag was, it had the same name as some brand. It was some sort of like clothing or item or whatnot, and they didn't look. They didn't know about it yet. They saw this. Oh yeah, and they immediately did that, and they tried. It basically got torn apart in the media because for about 10 whole minutes, and that was it. That's all it took. 10 minutes. They had hashtagged and news hijacked a tragedy onto their brand, not realizing, not actually looking up to see what it was about. So be very careful with that. But generally speaking, that's really good. Now, as far as researching which ones are good for what you're doing, there's actually a lot of websites. Honestly, I don't have a suggestion of which one now, but do you have one?
Yeah, hashtag find me.
Hashtag find me?
Hashtagify, IFY.me.
Hashtag F.
HashTagify.me.
IFY. Okay, hashtagify.com?
.me. Yeah.
Hashtagify.me. So there you go. If you write anything down, hashtagify.me is apparently a research place where you can find out what kind of...
Yeah, you can put in a basic hashtag term, so one you think may have relation to your brand, and it will tell you what other related hashtags are being searched and what those numbers are. There's also a particular one for Instagram, which I believe is Keyhole.
Keyhole? Okay.
Yeah, and that is specifically looking at Instagram, and will also tell you who the main influencers for that.
Perfect. This is why I hired Alana.